Let's go!
We are the Treehouse Cowboys, a branch of the Treehouse Podcast, which you can catch 5 days a week on all your favorite podcast platforms and at treehouseonair.com. This is the Treehouse Cowboys, where we come together as lifelong Cowboys fans and dish about our favorite disappointing team, and that is the Dallas Cowboys. I'm Dan O'Malley, joined by Raj Sharma, and joining us remotely today, live from the Star in Frisco, our very own Trey Trenholm.
Hello, guys. Coming to you live from the Star.
That's a mighty dumpster fire behind you, sir.
It's the world's largest. You know, Jerry does nothing but biggest and best.
Oh, man, it almost looks like a birthday cake run amok there at the Star.
Well, obviously, 82's a lot of candles.
And you know what they say at a certain point when you reach a certain age, you stop giving an F. And it seems like the Cowboys have done that to celebrate Jerry's birthday.
Yes.
47-9. 47-9. The Cowboys get blown out by Detroit at home in embarrassing fashion. So many things to unpack, not only from the game itself, but even some of the stuff that happened inside and just outside of the game. So I know that we want to get to our big three takeaways, and we're going to do that. But again, Cowboys get blown out by Detroit at home, which is fascinating because they used to have an amazing record at home, and now they've got one of the worst. So the Cowboys really know how to switch things around on us. So 47-9. I don't know a whole lot else to add at this point.
I don't think there is anything to add.
Well, unless the game was longer and Detroit had time to score more.
They're a crap team. I mean, they're absolute garbage. I mean, putting in when you're supposed to put in your backup quarterback when you've got such a lead that you don't want to get them hurt, not when you're getting punked out so bad. And let's be honest, it was by far the best team we've played this year. The first that I think from probably week 1 or 2 say that's a playoff caliber team.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what happened.
Yeah. So I'm curious to get your big three takeaways, our big three takeaways from this game.
Yeah, Dan, come on. I dare you. Say something positive about this team, about this game.
I can do that. Okay. I can do that. The power went off at the bar where I was watching the game.
Even God didn't want to watch his team play this year.
That's the reason why I think that God put the thought into Jerry's mind when they built the new stadium to make sure that the roof could open and close, so that way God could say, nope, I'm done, and shut it like a confessional door.
Yeah, it was just and the whole, facing the sun thing again, which happened twice. I think that's one of the reasons for one of the picks easily was the sun.
You know what, though? Look,
and that can be easily controlled because they can shut that.
They have curtains for it. They exist. They're in the building. They can draw the curtains the same way we do at a hotel, so we can sleep in a little bit later.
Yeah, they didn't.
But going back to what you were saying, Trey, about trying to see if I can find something positive to say. The power going off was a huge positive because that meant I didn't have to watch a good chunk of this game. And there was a Cowboys fan that showed up in spectacular fashion. And I wanted to share this part with you, and then I want to jump into our big three takeaways. And that is Tara and I are sitting at the bar before the power went off. And a older gentleman sits down, and bartender comes over and says, "What can I get you?" And he says, "I'll just take a glass of water for now." Bartender brings him the glass of water, and the gentleman proceeds to watch a handful of minutes of the game. When Dak Prescott throws that interception in the back of the end zone, he stood up, and as he stood up, this man said, "Well, I'm not going to waste 3.5 hours of my life on these guys," and he left. So that, I think, is a pretty good template as a Cowboys fan. If you're going to go out and watch this team underperform, don't buy a drink until they do something worth it for you to stick around to have the drink.
Yeah.
It'll save you a ton of money and a whole lot of heartache.
I would love that if he said that, like, at that moment where he's like, I'm not going to waste my time on these guys, and you look over and it is Jerry Jones. And you're like, oh, okay. That makes sense, buddy.
I did have that same thought. Whenever they're getting blown out this badly, which, by the way, is one of the worst losses in the Jerry Jones era, when they show him on TV, wouldn't you, if you were in Jerry's position, be like, I'm out, I'm leaving, I'm not staying to watch any more of this? Or do you feel trapped? Is he trapped?
Yeah, he's trapped. I also like how he looks at the Jumbotron at the score, like, inquisitively. Like, is that the score? Yes, your team sucks. And it's because of you and your mismanagement of this team is the reason they are absolutely trash.
All right, then let's jump into that for this game specifically, because that's definitely a big picture problem that the Cowboys have. But for this game, Cowboys lose 47-9 at home against Detroit. Our big three takeaways: the Cowboys suck, and here's why. Trey, let's start with you.
They panned over at one point to Mike Zimmer, and he looked like Joe Biden on the sideline, just befuddled and confused by the forward pass.
I will be one of the first to admit that I was actually excited about the Mike Zimmer hire, because I thought, okay, this is a guy that's well respected, well regarded in the league, was on the Cowboys staff years ago during, quote unquote, good years. So he knows what he's doing. But I don't know what's happened, because this season he doesn't look like he knows what he's doing at all. Like, you're right, Trey. He looks extremely confused by things that shouldn't be so confusing.
It literally, they look like, well, they're not doing what they showed us in film. Hey,
yeah, there's a thought.
Fair.
Yeah. Maybe don't do the same thing every stinking week. Maybe change things up a little bit. Do something a little unexpected.
Yeah, when they unfroze him, maybe they should have told him that the times have changed. When they unfroze him to bring him back, they were like, hey, it's 2024 now. The game's different. Yeah.
And it's very odd, because after the playoff loss against the Packers last year, I was actually okay with seeing Dan Quinn go after being a huge fan, because I'm like, what the hell did you just do? You look like you mailed in a game plan and just played zone the entire game, the complete opposite of what they did throughout the entire year that got them there. So I was like, get out. That was bad. Now I'm like, please come back.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, at this point, I'll take Elmo with a headset as defensive coordinator. So, Raj, what's your big takeaway from this game?
My big takeaway from this game was before that, the Commanders-Ravens game was great. That's my big takeaway. Is this was just you got to fire. There has to be personnel change. So I don't know where you do that, because you have the bye, so you have 10 days in which to do this. McCarthy's got to go. That's a fact. I think Zimmer's got to go. I think there's plenty of talent available right now out there that you can replace them rather quickly in this 10 days. Or you just
You think you can replace head coach easily?
I think this head coach, yes. I don't think there's any faith in this head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was amazing that Cooper Rush got us closer to the end zone than Dak Prescott did. That was impressive. I said it. I was like, if he gets a touchdown, like, that's just embarrassing to Dak, who just signed that contract.
So
if Cooper Rush gets
Jerry Jones said after the game, he said, no, there's not going to be any coaching changes.
Of course.
It's 3-3 going into the bye. So while that might be all things that we would like as fans, that's apparently not going to be what we get.
Yeah, but he's going to have to listen to this for the next 10 days, every single day, everywhere he goes in this town and nationally, on every radio show, on every sports station. That's all you're going to hear. And so I think there has to be some sort of personnel change.
Jerry doesn't care. He doesn't listen. Like he hadn't listened. He is insulated from all the noise when he wants to be. But
I know he listens to stuff.
Yeah,
he does.
All right,
he may not hear all of it.
Yeah.
But it's on in the background.
But again, with him, a lot of times, as long as they're talking about the Cowboys, that's all he cares about.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, what's your big takeaway? I'm sure you're gonna give us a rose-colored image, something to give the Cowboy fans hope.
Yeah.
I think the only Cowboy that could score in a whorehouse is Brandon Aubrey.
He did great.
Seriously, the entire 53-man roster could walk into a whorehouse, and the only person that would score is Brandon Aubrey, just like the game yesterday.
I just kept thinking, Jerry wanted the glory hole days, and man, he's got them because they're working it, mouth and two hands.
It's like one of those. It's like a Three Stooges skit in the bottom of in the hull of a boat, and all the stuff is shooting out. And they're trying to plug the holes and try to keep from sinking. That's kind of how it looks and feels. But you're right, glory holes. Okay. I'm actually going to try to answer your question, Trey. See if I can find an actual, honest to God, somewhat positive angle to take after this game, because you and Raj are very, very hateful, and you have reason to be. Don't get me wrong. I'm just going to try to balance it out.
On the record, I have had the same position since week 1.
That is true.
Yeah,
this team is crap.
This is true.
Garbage.
That is very true.
Okay.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because there are a couple things that are positive that you can take out of this game. The first of which is, at least we're not Cleveland.
And remember, week 1, I said the only contract that makes Dax look good is I just drew a blank on his name, but Cleveland's quarterback,
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson.
Another positive thing I can take out of this loss to Detroit is the only thing worse than Detroit beating our Cowboys 47-9 is having to actually live in Detroit. So that's positive number 2. Okay. I feel like there was a third. Oh, the third one is this. I remember looking at the schedule and thinking, if the Cowboys are 4-2 at the bye, I'll take it. Well, they're 3-3, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know how they're 3-3. So things are looking okay. I really don't. After watching that game yesterday, I don't know how the hell they're 3-3. This team should be 1-4.
You want to take something positive out of it. There's 6 starters missing, so maybe after the bye, people come back healthy, and maybe it's a little bit of a noticeably better team.
I tried thinking about that as well, and I'm glad you also brought that up, Raj. Is that okay, so they were, for the second week in a row, they're without Micah Parsons, they're without DeMarcus Lawrence. Deron Bland is still on injured reserve. They're expecting him back after. But other than Deron Bland, Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, the Cowboys were 2-2 with those guys on. So the record hadn't changed in their absence. So that doesn't make me feel good.
Because the problem is, the one thing you can't fix mid-season is a poorly prepared, poorly coached team. And that's right, what they are. Yeah. They are undisciplined, and I realize there are a lot of people that know a lot more can see a lot better what they're, but to me it looks like there is just an unimaginative offense and defensive scheme that good teams just pick apart.
And Trey, you mentioned that you've been teams suck since week 1, and Raj, you've felt the same way. Week 1, the way I felt was, how is it you sink $240 million into your quarterback and you mail it in with the offensive line? And that showed itself again yesterday, because the Cowboys can't run block and they can't pass block. This offensive line is bad. Now, part of the reason it's bad is because it's young and inexperienced. That will change over time. But I still go back to the whole thinking of, if you're going to sink $240 million into a quarterback in this league, pay someone to protect the man.
But also do what Detroit did, and they paid Montgomery the night before, so he woke up super happy. So that's what you do. You pay your guys, like, you don't pay them in the off season or during the preseason. You wait till it's like game time the night before, and you go, here's your check.
Yeah, and it's like, and he wakes up with 2 stiffies, because 1, his bank account just got a whole lot larger, and 2, he's facing the Cowboys offensive line.
Yeah, and he's really, really happy to be there. So that's what you do, in my opinion.
But the problem is, when you've sunk, I mean, between Parsons and Dak, what do they now have? Like $400 million tied up in salary cap. The problem
and
is
they haven't even signed Parsons yet.
Oh, not Parsons.
CeeDee
Lamb.
Yeah.
You're hamstrung on the salary cap. Your only relief is that every year the salary cap gets bigger, and so they can't. It goes back. I always said the worst mistake Jerry made early on was signing Deion Sanders in the first year of the salary cap because he didn't know how to manage it, and he's let his ego run amok again. And they don't have the cap room to really sign good players.
And that's the thing with Jerry Jones, like he can't be wrong. So even if there visibly needs to be personnel change, he won't do it because then he has to admit fault. And he absolutely cannot do that. So he's got to be right the whole time.
So here's the great thing about what you just said, Raj, and Jerry said it going into the offseason this last year. He said, I'm all in. We are all in. And yesterday, he got to celebrate his 82nd birthday from his emperor's seat at the stadium by losing 47-9, one of the worst losses in the history that he has owned the team since 1989. And it got me wondering with Jerry saying he's all in for this season. And it also got me thinking he's maintaining that mantra by not having any coaching changes in the bye week, because if you change coaches mid-season, your odds of success in that season diminish greatly, right? So I started wondering, has Jerry Jones been listening to too much Tim McGraw lately? He's trying to live like he's dying when he needs to plan like he's living, because you at a certain point, you need to recognize what you're seeing and do something about it. Because if you just say, well, I'm dying anyway, I'll just stick with it because you're desperate, that's a horrible strategy. So that's where I'm left for celebrating Jerry Jones's birthday.
Well, here's my big question. If you get rid of McCarthy, because typically, in the NFL, you can't really bring a coach in from the outside during midseason. It's always you have to promote one of the assistants. Who would you're not going to do Zimmer.
So here's something really interesting. If the Cowboys decided to get rid of Mike McCarthy in favor of a coach with head coaching experience that is not currently employed, the only time I can think of a head coach with experience that had won a Super Bowl that was available in the middle of the season was Mike McCarthy. Because he took a year off to find himself and learn about other things of football. And that's how he was available for the Cowboys to hire, at the beginning of the season and all that. But still, that's the last time I can remember someone with that, resume being available mid-season.
Well, first of all, let's also remember, no one wanted McCarthy. It's the same thing. Why did Dak fall to the third round? No one wanted McCarthy. But now that you said that, I do have an option.
Okay.
Jason Garrett. I can at least get some good all three phases press conferences.
You want mindless clapping on the sideline again?
I think we had a better offense then.
Okay, so you would prefer toxic positivity than you would pure befuddlement.
Yes.
No, I'll take McCarthy.
This is a tough one. I don't know, because
it's at least a change. I just
get the same result.
You know what? You're right. But at least it's just something different. The red Ted back on the sideline. Give me some good claps. I
think we'll be fine. I think Jerry was fine last night. I think he went to the Ritz as he normally does and drowned his sorrows in a bunch of Johnny Walker Blue. And I think he was okay. Now, when you said he was sitting at the Emperor seat, like my great takeaway would have been like, had he from the Emperor seat, like looked down at his players and just went, and then
down.
just lions started coming out, like literally not the Detroit Lions, but actual lions, and then just devoured the team. We just start over from the beginning.
Oh man, that'd make for a hell of a Treehouse Cowboys show. Oh man. I actually like that strategy though.
Yes.
Because something the Cowboys have not had in a head coach since Bill Parcells is that angry edge, is that fear. The only coaches I can recall in recent memory that have had that on a Cowboys sideline, Parcells,
Mhm.
Jimmy Johnson,
Mhm.
and arguably the GOAT, Landry.
Tom Landry. Yep.
Yeah, but those are three coaches that actually had some power.
Right. So
That's
in the absence of power, or I shouldn't say in the absence of power, but in the absence of proven power, you at least need some perceived power. So instead of the aw shucks befuddlement of McCarthy on the sideline, and we definitely don't want the toxic positivity of a Jason Garrett sideline. I instead would like a coach on the sideline that instills fear in the players. Someone like a Dan Campbell, who's the coach of the Lions, where if
Yeah.
a player screws up, they look back on that sideline and they don't want to go back there because that
Yeah.
means they have to go stand near that guy. That's the type of guy I want to see with this team, just to see what happens, just for a change of pace.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know who that would be for this team, but I mean, this is what we have for the rest of the season. So get ready. I mean, this is what this is what it looks like. Again, if you want some sort of optimism, maybe they come back rested and a little healthy after the bye.
Oh, good. So
And
they can suck on fresh legs.
yes. But at least that'll eliminate any excuse. If everybody comes back healthy and rested, and they still suck, then that eliminates all the excuses because you can't go, well, they're hurt or they're suffering from small injuries or whatever it is.
Mhm.
You can take that away now. You can go, you know what? They had 10 days off. Everybody's back. And they still suck. So this is who we're left with. And if we're going to do that, acknowledge the suck. Just go, you know what? We're just going to suck this season, and hopefully we'll start.
We can
Jerry
swallow
Jones
that
does-
as fans.
Yeah, and Jerry Jones doesn't have it in him to rebuild. He doesn't have enough time.
And that gets me back to my point of Jerry celebrating his 82nd birthday in gloriously disappointing fashion, because it really does seem like his strategy is all in because he knows that he's not going to live much longer. So he's kind of stuck. So he's desperate. The desperate strategy is what he's employing. Whereas I'm saying, I think what he needs to do is to leave a little more of a legacy for the team on the field, not just for his legacy or the Cowboys' legacy or a business legacy, but actually use a strategy that's for the future of the team on the field in a positive way. And that's not what he's doing right now.
Yeah, I think we need to start pumping Jerry up and go, Jerry, you're here till at least 90, so you got some time. Let's make better decisions.
I agree. He's in great shape.
Yeah.
For 82. I mean, how long ago was it he was taking those weird photos with the girls in the bathroom? He's still got some vigor in him.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's Viagra.
Oh. You know what? That works too. We'll take it.
He just spelled it wrong.
All right, there it is. That's the Treehouse Cowboys Week 6. Cowboys get absolutely destroyed by Detroit in Texas, and we'll all be coasting through the bye week, wondering, well, what's the next game gonna look like?
Well, especially the next game, we go to San Francisco, a place where historically, we have not done well.
Well, then I guess we'll need double doses of Viagra.
Yes.
And we can go to the game too. But San Francisco's fun.
Yeah, and I think Christian McCaffrey will be back, so that should be. He's not. They don't think so.
No, he's
not. I don't think he'll play the rest of the year.
Oh, really?
Now this Achilles thing is in both legs, and it's
the tendonitis is in both.
Yep.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I thought he might be back. That would be
welcome to old age. Go ask Jerry. He's got something that'll help you out.
Let's go!